And we are going to begin with breaking news about the health of Pope Francis. Officials at the Vatican say the head of the Catholic Church is, quote, more unwell than yesterday. They say Francis suffered a prolonged asthma-like respiratory crisis earlier today and that he needed blood transfusions because of a low platelet count. Officials say he is alert and spent the day in a chair, but his prognosis remains, quote, guarded. In a statement, the Vatican says the Holy Father's condition remains critical and the Pope is not out of danger. Pope Francis has been in hospital since February the 14th after experiencing trouble breathing. He is being treated for double pneumonia, and the Vatican has said he will not be leading prayers on Sunday for a second consecutive week. And crowds of priests and nuns and others have gathered outside the hospital where the Pope is receiving treatment. They are praying for the 88-year-old pontiff's full recovery, congregating around a statue of the late John Paul II, the predecessor to Francis. People started gathering before this very latest update when doctors had predicted Francis would remain in hospital at least through the coming week. I want to dig deeper into this story and invite now to the show Donald Bolen, the Catholic Archbishop of Regina. Archbishop Bolen, thank you so much for making time for us today, sir.
Good to be with you.
And sir, for you and for everyone watching at home, I just want to be as transparent as possible. We don't know. You know, all we're dealing with is the information that's being made public to us from the Vatican. They have released a statement. But it's not the news anybody wants to hear about the Pope, which is that he's more unwell today than he was yesterday and that he's not out of danger. When you hear these updates, sir, tell me how you're feeling.
Well, I think that the Vatican's been very transparent, and the Pope has asked them to be very transparent about his health and to give the daily updates. Like Catholics throughout the world, like many throughout the world, I'm praying for him and hoping that he makes a full recovery.
Are you speaking with friends and colleagues in the Vatican, in Rome, in Italy? I mean, what are you hearing from them?
I'm reading lots of reports online like everybody else is. But I mean, I think that what we're hearing is that his condition is critical, but that there's still a good path towards recovery, that it's going to be a slow path, but that's uncertain. So we live with that uncertainty at this moment in time.
Now, I want to make the audience aware that you have a few connections with the Pope. I mean, he actually appointed you to your current position. Talk to me about that, how he came to that decision, the relationship you have with this man.
Well, I think all bishops are appointed by a pope. I was first appointed as bishop in Saskatoon by Pope Benedict. So Pope Francis appointed me Archbishop of Regina. I mean, the biggest point of intersection has certainly been in connection with the papal visit to Canada in the summer of 2022. And that visit was such a gift for us. And his presence was, he made himself so available to Indigenous peoples. And his visit was, I think, left a lasting impact for us. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
Give us some specifics on that. What were moments that really stood out for you that you were very touched by?
Well, with the visit of the First Nation and Métis and Inuit delegate to Rome, we honestly did our groundwork in preparing, but we didn't know how that was going to go. Pope Francis entered into those conversations with such a profound listening spirit. And when he spoke at the beginning of April, it's almost 3 years ago now, and offered an apology, he spoke with such empathy. He had obviously listened very deeply. And that continued through the visit to Canada. And his words were, I think, what many people felt needed to be said. And so his deep engagement in dialogue. I would also add that in the last 3-4 years, he's led the church on a process of what we call synodality, walking together, that the church might be more consultative, hear the voices of all peoples in the discernment processes that we face. So he's been a real gift for us in that regard.
Talk to me a bit more about that. Is that a step away from what other popes have done? Is this something new and innovative for the church?
It's a continuity, very much a continuity of what the Second Vatican Council initiated in the beginning of the 1960s. But Pope Francis has helped us to take further steps in that direction. He's appointed recently, in the last 3 months, I think, 2 women to lead dicasteries in Rome, to lead important offices, which hadn't been done before. He certainly wants to be a pope who's leading us to have a church open to and listening to the world, listening to deep conversations, and guiding us with prayerful discernment.
For those who are of the Catholic faith, for believers, they would often turn to someone like the Pope for guidance in a moment of insecurity. And I imagine for many, again, total transparency, we don't know, right? And everyone's sort of hoping for the best. But all things considered, he's an 88-year-old man. He's had health issues in the past. I mean, these things are challenges. A blood transfusion, low platelet count, double infection. It's a problem. And I just wonder, when people are turning to you for the kind of guidance and spiritual support, what are you telling your congregants?
Well, what do we do when our loved ones are older and in critical condition? We ask them to prayerfully accompany them. We ask them to be present to them as much as possible, and to pray for their well-being and their health, but to also ready ourselves for whatever might come. I think that's what Pope Francis is inviting us to do as well at this time.
Okay. Donald Bolen, Archbishop of Regina, thank you very much for your time today, sir.
Thanks for taking the time for this.